policía, dígame. ¡Ayuda! ¡Ayuda, por favor! Necesito que te tranquilices y me describas lo que estás viendo. ¡Está aquí! ¿Sigues ahí? ¿Hola?
They say ghosts don't scare the police, but what if I told you there's one case that did? A haunting so real, so relentless, that even trained officers, armed, skeptical, and logical, ran out of explanations. This wasn't a legend. It wasn't a story passed down in whispers. It was documented, signed, and sealed by the police themselves. This is the Vallecas case, Spain's most terrifying haunting, the story of a young girl, a desperate family, and a spirit that refused to die. 1973, Vallecas, Spain. Concepcion and Maximo Lazaro moved into a small apartment with their 4 children. At first, everything seemed perfect. The family was happy, life was moving forward, and their home was filled with laughter and warmth. But by 1990, 17 years later, when their eldest daughter Estefania had turned 18, things began to change. Strange, unexplainable events started creeping into their home, disrupting the peace they had known for so long. Estefania's behavior changed almost overnight. She became frighteningly aggressive, lashing out at those she once loved, and shockingly, even tried to harm her own siblings, leaving her family terrified and heartbroken. One night, while the entire house was deep in sleep, Estefania suddenly screamed at the top of her lungs. Hearing her cries, her parents rushed to her room, and what they saw froze them in fear. Estefania was sitting in a corner, clawing at the wooden wall with her nails, as if some dark, unseen force had taken control of her. From that night, the terror repeated. Night after night, every night, same screams, same scratching, same terror. One day, things took a darker turn. She attacked her younger brother Max. Her parents could barely pull her away. When they finally calmed her, Estefania broke down. Through tears, she whispered that she could see them. Faceless figures standing in her room at night. They called her name, told her to come with them. Day by day, Estefania's condition grew worse. Her body began to weaken, the weight slowly melting off her fragile frame. Soon, she started suffering from violent seizures and episodes of epilepsy. She stopped eating, stopped speaking. It was as if something inside her was fading away, piece by piece. As Estefania's condition worsened, her parents took her to several doctors, desperate for answers. But every report said the same thing. She was mentally and physically healthy. There was no sign of illness, no medical explanation for what was happening to her. The doctors were baffled. No one could understand what was tearing her apart from the inside. And then, one day, she died. But her death wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Because what came next revealed the real reason behind her suffering. A few days later, one of her teachers visited the grieving family, and she came with a secret. She revealed that before Estefania's illness began, she'd caught her and a few friends performing a séance in the school restroom. One of her friends had recently lost her boyfriend in a motorcycle accident, and Estefania, curious and compassionate, wanted to help her contact his spirit. She'd used a Ouija board, but when the teacher interrupted them and snapped the board in half, a strange, thick smoke came out, twisting and writhing in the air. The teacher swore she saw Estefania inhale it. And from that moment, the haunting began. The teacher's story explained everything. The seizures, the voices, the shadows that followed her even in daylight. But the worst part, even after her death, the spirits didn't leave. It was like the house was cursed. Within just days of Estefania's death, strange and terrifying events began to unfold in her unoccupied bedroom. Odd knocking noises echoed from inside, and when her mother, Concepcion, opened the door, she discovered that all of Estefania's belongings had been scattered across the room. The following night brought something even more chilling. The laughter of an old man reverberated through the hallways of their home. Other reports of paranormal activity included senseless voices coming from the bathroom and sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature. One night, as the family gathered in the living room, the door to the hallway suddenly burst open. Invisible knocks began pounding against the walls. Terrified, Concepcion and Maximo pulled the door shut and barricaded it with a sofa, topped with a heavy marble ornament for extra security. Yet, despite their precautions, a force described as a torrential gust of wind tore the door open, scattering the furniture and the family across the room. Chillingly, a framed photograph of Estefania was blown into the room. When Concepcion picked it up, it ignited in her hands, burning furiously. In the photograph, Estefania's face was split and charred down the middle, while the frame remained completely untouched. For months after her death, the paranormal activity escalated. Doors slammed open and shut violently on their own. Appliances turned on and off sporadically, and the family began seeing shadowy figures crawling around their beds and furniture at night. Estefania's sister recalled a dark figure glued to the floor, dragging itself toward them, filling the family with terror. Desperate for relief, the Gutierrez family sought help from experts, investigators, religious officials, and psychics, all of whom visited the home in an effort to cleanse it. Yet the haunting persisted, leaving the family in a constant state of fear and uncertainty. Finally, on November the 27th, 1992, the family called the police. When Inspector Jose Negri and his team arrived, they found the entire family standing outside in the rain, terrified to go back in. Inside, the officers felt it too, a pressure in the air, a strange nausea, like something was watching them. Then came the banging. From one wall, then another, shifting as if the house itself was alive. A cupboard door swung open by itself, almost hitting an officer. 4 officers fled outside, the rest stayed. In Estefania's room, they found a crucifix ripped from the wall, the Christ figure broken in half. Below it were 3 deep claw marks carved into the wall. When they entered the bathroom, everyone felt it, a sudden drop in temperature, sharp enough to see their breath. That night, for the first time in Spanish history, police filed an official report calling the case paranormal and unexplained. It read, "For the past few hours, strange phenomena have been observed. Crucifixes turning upside down, furniture moving, and disembodied voices." The haunting became known as the Vallecas case, the first documented ghost investigation in Spain. A young girl who tried to reach the dead and ended up never coming back. The 2017 Spanish horror movie Veronica, directed by Paco Plaza, same guy who made Wreck, was loosely based on this case. It borrowed the Ouija scene, the teenage girl, and the tragic ending, but changed names and details for dramatization.